gotta be honest, I don't get a lot of young ladies who confess to sexual immorality. I get a lot of young ladies that are concerned about body image, eating, um, disappointment with how they look or feel others perceive them. So I think there's pastors that probably deal with that. I'm just trying to be honest, I don't have a lot of answers to that because I don't deal with that. But I had a young lady who said all she thinks about is every day when she eats, is this food, too much, gonna make me too fat? I don't like my body, all these things, right? So for women it's a little bit different than guys, and I say that as a general rule, not as an absolute rule, so don't put your hand up and say, I struggle with lust every day. Okay, I believe you. But male and female issues tend to be a little bit different insofar as men are concerned about the fact that they look too much. Women are concerned about the fact that people are looking at them and how do they look to others. And I haven't dealt a lot with like a young lady talking about sexual immorality, though it has happened a few times, and I think I just have to be faithful to what the gospel teaches about repentance, forgiveness, and other things. But men and women definitely have different focuses.
The next question is, I have two kids. My eldest is an 11-year-old turning 12, and my youngest is a 9-month-old boy. I want them to be faithful to the Lord and protect them from sexual immorality. Would you suggest that I talk to them about it in detail as early as possible? If not, when would you suggest is the best time or best age?
I think statistics show that boys especially, but most people have looked at pornography online by age 11 on average, which means that if that's on average, if a 13-year-old looks at it for the first time, that means a 9-year-old, for example, has looked at it. So usually parents are a little bit late to the discussion, and it's a bit of naivety, a bit of hopeful naivety that, okay, I don't want to rush things. But usually the mistake parents make is they come in to discuss these things too late, and then the kids are like, oh my goodness, this is awkward. My dad's like telling me, or my mom, about the birds and the bees, and I'm like, I know all about what they're talking about. So our kids' Christian school had these discussions, I think in grade 6 or something, they're 10 or 11, where they get taught, about certain things. Sometimes parents do that stuff. The most important thing is not actually the talk you have. The most important thing for me is the habits that are established with the kids and what they look at. So my kids like to look at soccer stuff online, things. I don't want to stop them from talking to their friends on it, but all of their accounts on something have to be linked to my phone so that I could look at any time. But kids are sneaky and they know delete, they know all these tricks because they come to me, a lot of the kids in the church, and tell me about what they used to do as a kid and how they duped their parents. So if you're a parent here and you've got young kids, they are slippery characters, your kids. They know all the tricks of the trade. They know how to hide stuff. They know where to find stuff. I'm not saying they're all deceivers, but the temptations are so powerful and real that you have to be 3 steps ahead of them, and most parents are 3 steps behind them. And you need to be just told that by someone who has nothing to lose. That's me, is watch the habits rather than, oh, I had the talk with them when they're 8, I've done my job. You've done nothing. Your duty is daily to make sure your kids are not putting themselves in danger daily, not having a talk.
This next question is related to what you have mentioned, Pastor Mark. We have 4 boys, and my wife wants me to unsubscribe to Netflix to help keep us from lasting and other negative influences it might bring. But is this extreme? Is this the best thing to do? Since there are also wholesome shows in this media. And if it is the right thing to do, and I follow that suggestion, then it means I would also need to unsubscribe from games, Spotify, and other media in the internet because they are also capable of being negative influences. And all other worldly influences and end up in a cave. What's the practical balance?
Right.
You know, there's sometimes I would like to be in a cave, not with my family. They can each get their own cave. But I don't want to break up any marriages here, so if someone's like, as soon as I hear my wife wants this, I'm like, I am not going there. But I'm going to go there because I'm on holiday. I would say there's a lot of truth in that can be some good things on a certain app or things that can be useful. And then there's sometimes bad things. That's life. You're always going to navigate that. It's just a fact of anything. Going to the mall, going to a store. There's donuts there. I get fat eating donuts. I guess I can't go to the store. We're always making those decisions. However, there are some apps or some things that are worse than others. They're not all created equal. Some have a greater degree of temptation because of the very nature of the app. They've been designed for greater addiction. There's like Netflix, you watch a show and it's a TV series and the next minute it finishes and it's like 5 seconds later the next show is going, right? There's dangers you have to be aware of. I would say that it all comes down to each person and their discipline. The father should be listening to the wife's concerns there, and they should be discussing it. But at the end of the day, he needs to be faithful to his wife and to his children and make a decision. And I'll say this, there can be greater degree of holiness, this is not an absolute, there can be a greater degree of holiness in using something well than simply getting rid of it. Now, I'm not denying that sometimes you get rid of things, because everyone says that they know their weakness. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. But I have some dear friends, and they became Christians, and they used to drink, and then became Christians, they didn't drink. And when I became a Christian, I stopped drinking. But then I realized, me learning to drink a glass of wine to the glory of God in a way where I'm enjoying it and not overdoing it can actually require greater self-control than just staying away from it entirely. So you've got to be careful with the get rid of everything. It may actually be more holy to learn how to use things well than to simply get rid of them. But remember, that's a statement made in a context where there are some people that for a period of time or because of who they are need to completely get rid of a TV or a phone. I understand that, but I also think you can end up cheating a bit in your Christian living by not ever learning how to make appropriate use of things. So you've got to remember that too, that takes discipline and wisdom and self-control.